Everybody, this is Mr. Lowe. This is a real quick 5-minute review of today's lesson 1-2, basically understanding whole number and place value. So we got a solve and share today. The population of a city is 1,880,000. What is the value of each of the two eights in this number? So we are looking specifically at the value of that 8 and the value of that 8. What we are going to use to help us solve this problem is a place value chart. That's this guy right down here. So we start in the ones place, and I just write the numbers in the place. So there's a 0 in the ones place. There's a 0 in the tens place. There's a 0 in the hundreds place. I go, there's my comma. I can insert a comma there. And I've got a 0 in the thousands place, an 8 in the 10,000s, an 8 in the 100,000s, and a 1 in the millions. So if I'm comparing the value of that 8 and the value of that 8, I am looking at one of them. This one, the larger one, is 800,000. This 8 is 80,000. So we have 800,000 and 80,000. All right, we're going to use this information to kind of help us along for the rest of today's lesson. We look at the next page here. Again, this is something you want to make sure you have in your notebook. So you want to write down a place value chart. You don't need to have all these boxes. This is just to give us examples. But you want to have the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. These three together are called periods. This is the hundreds period. This is the thousands period. This is the millions period. And this is the billions period. So if I'm looking at writing 1,440,000, again, start left and move right. I've got a 0 in the ones, a 0 in the tens, a 0 in the hundreds. I've got a 0 in the thousands, a 4 in the 10,000s, a 4 in the 100,000s, and a 1 in the millions. So we're looking at the value of the two 4s. So the value of this 4, this one right here, and the value of this 4. So the first one, this guy, is 400,000. 400,000. And the value of the second one, this one right here, is 40,000. We talked about this in class today. Each digit, when we move in place value from the ones place to the tens place, or from the tens place to the hundreds place, or from the hundreds place to the thousands place, the value of the place is 10 times bigger than the value before it. So the tens place is 10 times bigger than the ones place. The hundreds place is 10 times bigger than the tens place, and so on and so on. So it's 10 times greater when we move right to left, when our value, our place value is getting larger. And it is going to be, if we move the other way, let's see if I can use yellow here. If we move this way in the place value chart, and our numbers are getting smaller, we say that it is 1/10 of 1/10, or times 1/10. It's basically the same thing as saying 10 times smaller, but our book is going to use this times 1/10 the value. So four 10,000s, or 40,000, is 1/10 the value of 400,000. Let's move on. Again, we're kind of going fast here, but that's okay. This is just a review. So you need to understand standard form, expanded form using these exponents, and number name. Basically, standard form, you're looking at the normal way we see numbers. Normal way we see numbers. So I would read this as 1,440,000. Just the digits with the periods or the commas inserted to separate the periods really give us the idea for standard form. When I look at expanded form, we want to look at the digit times its place value. The digit times its place value. So that 1 is in the millions place. So I would look at 1 times 1 million. That 4 is in the hundred thousands place. I would do 4 times 100,000. This 4 is in the 10,000s place. I would do 4 times 10,000. I don't need to put the zeros in simply because we know 0 times 1,000 is 1,000 anyway. So this expanded form is a little bit different than what you guys are used to in 4th grade, but this is what the expectation is this year. We want to make sure we remember digit times place value. And then we can convert these to using exponents. So again, I just say 1, so my digit, times the place value, but in exponential or exponent form. 10 to the 6th power is 1 million. This is where having that place value chart is going to be really helpful. You probably want to flip back into lesson 1-1. Remember we said 10 to the 1st equals 10, 10 to the 2nd equals 100, 10 to the 3rd equals 1,000. And we said, hey, Mr. Lowe, that exponent tells us how many zeros there are. So 10 to the 6th is going to be a 1 with 6 zeros. If this has 5 zeros in it, it's going to be 10 to the 5th power. So we just do 4 times 10 to the 5th power. And then we do 4 times 10 to the 4th power. You'll start using exponential notation, which is what this is called, probably in 6th grade when you start looking in science and you use, it's called scientific notation. And then we have number name. Number name is basically just that number, this number here, spelled out in words, 1,440,000. Notice we don't do 1,440,000 and 1,000. It's 1,440,000. So we're going to go through a couple of examples now. So we want to write this in expanded form using exponents. So they kind of start with this. So one thing I would like you to do is to look at the place value chart. So I've got my ones, my tens, my hundreds. I've got my 1,000, my 10,000, and my 100,000. And then I would just write that down, 830,040. So there's this zero is in the ones place. That 4 is in the tens place. There's a 0 in the hundreds place, a 0 in the thousands place, a 3 in the 10,000s place, and an 8 in the 100,000s place. So if I want to write that in expanded form, it's going to be digit 8 times its place value, but we're going to use place value using exponents. So this 8 is in the 100,000s place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my number of zeros. That tells me what my exponent's going to be. This is 10 to the 5th power. I write it in parentheses. Plus, parentheses, digit. My next digit's a 3. And I have to identify what place is it in. Well, this is in the 10,000s place. And 10,000 has 4 zeros in it. So I would just do 10 to the 4th power. Plus, I can skip the 2 zeros and go right to this 4. So let's do parentheses, 4 times, and that digit 4 is in the tens place. 10 to the 1st power. 10 to the 1st power is 10. It is 1 with a 1 0. And that's really it. You would type this in on your computer. You want to make sure you use those parentheses. You can use the parentheses right above the number 9 and the number 0 to help you solve this one. Let's go look at another example. So write the number name. So I want to look at this big, huge number and try and figure out which of these is the right name for that number. Well, let's go back to place value chart. 100 or ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That 4 is going to be over here in the 10 millions place. So 4 10 millions is 40 million. So I want to look at something that says 4 in the beginning. So I already know it's not going to be this guy right here. And I already know it's not going to be this guy because these two say 96 million. That's not a 9. And this one says 24 million. That's not a 2. So we know it's either 45 million or 45 million. It's got to be one of these two. That says 45 million. So there's my 45. This 4 is in the 10 millions place. And 4 10 millions is 40 million. Or 40,000, sorry. That's in the 10,000s place. That's 40,000. So I want to look at this one, says 45 million, 40,000. That sounds about right. And then we got 600. So we would choose B, 45 million, 40,600. It says write the value of the two fives. Well, again, I want to look at place value, so I make my place value chart. Hopefully, guys, you're understanding that we are making place value charts almost every single time. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So I write my numbers in my place value chart. The value of that 5 is 5,000. Now, notice it says use a comma to separate the answers as needed. Do not put commas in the numbers. So I don't need a comma to separate that 5 and the 0. The value of this 5 is 500. So I would write 5,000, 500. And a last example, I want to write 17,390 million in expanded form. Remember, expanded form is digit times place value. Digit times place value. Apologize for the sloppiness. So that first digit is a 1. I take that digit, 1. I multiply it by its place value. Well, let's look. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000, millions, 10 million. So I'm just going to do 1 times 10 million. And I'm going to add to it the next digit I have. The next digit I have is a 7. I would say 7 times, and its place value. Well, that 7 is in the millions place. So 7 times 1 million. And I would do the next digit, which is a 3. 3 times, I'm going to have to carry it down here, but that 3 is in the 100,000s place. 3 times 100,000. Close my parenthesis. And add to it the next digit, which is a 9. And that 9 is in the 10,000s place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. That 9 is in the 10,000s place. And that would be how I would write that in expanded form. It is going to be really crucial today, guys. You do everything in your notebook first before you start typing it in, because it's not necessarily the work in your notebook that is going to get wrong. You're going to have that right, but you're going to mistype it on the Chromebook. So thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Have an excellent day.